Some students return to school this week, with the remainder heading back next week. For those of you lucky ones who are in next week's batch, make the most of what's left of your summer vacation. Why not visit the newly opened Harmonious Enjoyment Chinese Garden? If you're far from the capital city, take advantage of relaxation spots near you. Some may even be operated by the Urban Development Corporation, so be sure to click on udcja.com. Hello and welcome to another edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm Audrey, your host for today's show. We have a lot lined up for you, so please stay with us. Preparing for back to school can be a stressful task if not planned carefully. That's why it's important for you to make a list and deal with each task one at a time. Here are a few tips to consider when shopping for books. Before you buy any book, check with friends, neighbors, and family members for ones you can borrow. You should also check with schools, churches, and community groups that may have a recycle book program or stores that sell second-hand books. After you have done all that, check the prices at various bookstores in order to get the best price. You could also buy books that will be used early in the school year first, if you can't buy all at once. Act now and avoid the last-minute rush.
Good day, I'm Andrea Chizom and this is your JIS News for Monday, August 31. Jamaica's Petro-Caribe agreement with Venezuela could be broadened. Energy Minister Philip Paulwell made that assertion during this Sunday's Issues and Answers program. He was responding to lingering concerns that the late Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez's death signaled the beginning of the end for the program. Minister Paulwell says there's no immediate threat for the suspension of the energy program.
Under the current regime in Venezuela, I am confident that it's going to be sustained and even deepened into a new concept of an economic zone embracing all the member states.
The Petro-Caribe agreement allows Jamaica to purchase oil at market value from Venezuela, but on preferential conditions that have benefited the island's development. A summit to commemorate the 10th anniversary of the agreement is scheduled to begin on September 5 at the Montego Bay Convention Center in St. James. National Security Minister Peter Bunting says Jamaica should be receiving more equipment by the end of the year to strengthen crime-fighting efforts. Through a partnership with the United States Bureau of International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Affairs, Jamaica should receive about 4,000 non-lethal weapon kits.
INL has arranged for us to receive body cameras, over 260 or just about 260 body cameras for deployment across a number of units at Hunts Bay, Halfway Tree, Central Police Station and Ellison Road Police Stations.
Minister Bunting says discussions will also continue to enhance Jamaica's capacity to combat the lottery scam. He says that for the January to August 2015 period, about 56% of the 247 murders in the western end of the island were linked to the lottery scam. And the National Security Ministry's Unite for Change initiative is extending its reach to communities in and around Bull Bay as it works to remove the facilitators of crime. Security Minister Peter Bunting says this will be supported by the recent upgrading of the Windsor Lodge Community Center and the after-school program it accommodates.
It's going to change how they see each other, how they relate to each other. Bringing 100 kids together or thereabout every evening is going to create a new dynamic, and if we can ensure that we imbue positive values, we focus on giving them positive messages, building their self-esteem, training them how to deal with things like dispute resolutions peacefully, how to talk it out, not fight it out, that they will even become change agents in their own families.
The company's Office of Jamaica COJ says its recent amnesty was a success, with thousands of companies taking advantage of the opportunity to get compliant. During the amnesty, companies benefited from waivers or significant reduction in fees for the filing of annual returns, removal of companies from the register, and to close business names that were no longer in operation. It was planned for May 4 to June 30 and was later extended until July 31, 2015. More than 15,000 applications were processed for companies limited by shares and over 2,000 for companies limited by guarantees. 2,205 requests were received from companies wishing to be removed from the company's register, and nearly 1,400 requests for closure of a business were processed. The COJ introduced the amnesty to increase compliance among businesses. Jamaica's senior athletes continue to be praised a day after they ended the 2015 IAAF World Championships second on the medal table and second to none in securing 7 gold medals. The team also came away from Beijing, China with 2 silver and 3 bronze medals. In a statement on Sunday, Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller said all the athletes who competed distinguished themselves and contributed valiantly to the country's illustrious performance. She noted that in the journey for greater national development, the entire nation could take inspiration from the examples of hard work, discipline, teamwork and determination demonstrated yet again by Jamaica's athletes. Mrs. Simpson Miller also praised the coaches, support staff, sporting administrators and the public for supporting the athletes. And finally, the Prime Minister has expressed sympathy to the government and people of Dominica for the loss of lives and damage to property caused by the recent torrential rains and high winds associated with Tropical Storm Erica. Mrs. Simpson Miller says the storm's impact reinforces the vulnerability and the serious impact of climate change in the Caribbean region. In a condolence message to Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerritt, she assured him that Jamaica stood in solidarity with the people of Dominica and was ready to assist with its rehabilitation efforts. And that's it for JIS News Today. Amandra Chisholm, thank you for watching.
Fever, rash, joint pain and red eyes. All common signs of the Zika virus or ZIKV. Symptoms are usually mild, lasting anywhere from a few days to a week. Jamaica has no Zika cases, but if it gets here, it would only be transmitted by the Aedes aegypti mosquito. Don't give Zika a chance. Prevent the breeding of these pesky mosquitoes.
The use of oil, cooking oil, a little tip of cooking oil poured on the surface of the water suffocates the larvae and prevents them hatching out. So persons can do that.
Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller described last week's wage agreement between government and public sector teachers as a win for Jamaica. Hear more about that signing, plus other engagements attended by the Prime Minister and her team this past week.
Prime Minister elated by performance of Jamaican athletes at World Championships. Government and Teachers Inc. wage deal. And PM tours new school in St. Andrew. This is Jamaica House Weekly. I'm Carrie-Ann Smith. Illustrious. That's how Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller has described the outstanding performance of Jamaica's athletes at the 2015 IAAF World Championships. Jamaica won 12 medals, 7 gold, 2 silver and 3 bronze, placing us second on the medal table. In a statement, the Prime Minister said the nation should be inspired by the hard work, discipline, teamwork and determination demonstrated by our athletes. She also congratulated the women's 4x400 meter relay team on their gold-winning performance. Their male counterparts were acknowledged for their courage and effort during the race, even though they placed fourth. Mrs. Simpson Miller also expressed appreciation to the athletes' coaches, support staff and other sporting administrators.
I have been reassured that the teachers are fully on the journey of national development for our beloved country.
Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller saluting the island's teachers following the signing of a wage agreement between the government and the Jamaica Teachers Association. The agreement is for the 2015-2017 contract period.
Increases in salary are projected for 4% in year 1 and 3% in year 2. Other existing allowances were also increased. These include book and software, duty, special duty, transportation, and protective clothing allowance.
A $25 million fund will also be established to give tertiary grants to the children of public sector teachers. The educators will also receive outstanding tuition repayments. As part of the compensation package, lands will be identified to develop housing solutions for teachers, and the Professional Development Fund will be increased to $20 million.
My government is banking on the farming sector to provide much of the improved economic growth we are working towards.
Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller expressing government's commitment to the agricultural sector, which grew by 0.5% in the April to June quarter of this year. To support even further growth, she reiterated plans to establish more agro-parks. 9 parks are already up and running.
The expectation is that over the next 3 years, 21 additional parks will be up and be successfully operated. When fully implemented, these parks will impact thousands of Jamaicans directly and indirectly.
In the meantime, the Prime Minister is urging manufacturers to take advantage of non-traditional exporting markets, given the rollout of Phase 2 of the National Export Strategy.
If we're not trading more, if we're not selling more, then we will not be able to increase our export and trade, and creating more jobs and increasing the rate of economic growth.
The Prime Minister was speaking at the ceremony to mark Newport Forsand's 10th anniversary in Jamaica. The fertilizer production company also honored its long-serving employees. The newly constructed Union Gardens Infant School off Spanish Town Road in St. Andrew is scheduled to open its doors in late September. Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller toured the $186 million project last week, which will house 150 students from age 3 to 5. It was funded through the Union Gardens Foundation, which is a coalition of private and public sector leaders who want to contribute to the early childhood sector. Union Gardens Infant School will boast large classrooms, a spacious auditorium, covered walkways, and play areas.
I think this could be a good example of infant schools across the country. I think it would assist both parents and help the students. And you have a responsibility, even if you cannot read or write, put them in front of you and say, read now, and do your homework. That is very important.
And the Prime Minister continues to respond to questions from ordinary Jamaicans through her weekly feature, Ask Your Prime Minister. In responding to concerns about parental responsibility, Mrs. Simpson Miller urged individuals to play an active role in the education of their children.
Parents are not only to take care of the children when they get home from school or when they're at home. They also need to visit the schools to find out how the children are performing in classes.
The Prime Minister also responded to questions about the drought and water challenges. She said the Water Ministry was implementing strategies to ensure that communities receive water. Persons may pose questions to the Prime Minister via email or social media, get direct responses, or read them in the Star newspaper. The Prime Minister has expressed sympathy to the government and people of Dominica for the loss of lives and damage to property due to the passage of Tropical Storm Erica. Mrs. Simpson Miller says the storm has reinforced the vulnerability and impact of climate change in the Caribbean. In a condolence message to Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit, she assured him that Jamaica stood in solidarity with the people of Dominica and was ready to assist with the rehabilitation efforts. And finally, the Prime Minister met with the outgoing Canadian Ambassador Robert Reddy, whose tenure formally ended today, August 31. The Prime Minister thanked the ambassador for his contribution to Jamaica for the past 3 years and presented him with a gift. This year marked 53 years of diplomatic relations between Jamaica and Canada. The countries have partnered on a number of initiatives in security and defense, as well as trade and investment. And that's it for this week's edition of Jamaica House Weekly. Join us next week for the latest from the Office of the Prime Minister.
Don't make diseases spread. Wash your hands with soap and water instead. Wash them regular or use a hand sanitizer. Make sure the germs them dead. Touching your eyes or your mouth or your nose. Wash your hands before you do things like those. After you use the bathroom before preparing food, come on, wash your hand them clean.
On Saturday, we showed you a breakfast meal idea that's not only healthy, but also very quick to prepare. We continue our demonstration with 2 new meal ideas. Take a look.
Our next dish will be sardine and cheese fritter. The ingredients are simple. We'll be adding about ½ pound of flour. Then to that we'll add the sardine. Sapphire will be helping me to add them. And a bit of onions. And seasoning for taste. Basically, any cheese can be used, any one of your choice. Just a bit of baking powder.
And how many family members would that serve for?
This should serve up to 6 family members. So Sapphire will be incorporating all the ingredients now. Just stir them, Sapphire. And we'll add a bit of water. It's a very quick dish to make, and it's cost effective.
And how long does this take?
This should take no longer than 2 minutes. This dish is full or filled with a lot of calcium that comes from the cheese, and also omega-3 that comes from the sardine. And as we established before, that omega-3 is good for the heart. It prevents from heart disease. And that's basically it. We'll now move over to the fire. So basically what we'll be doing is just spooning a bit of the mixture into the fryer.
And how many per serving?
I would say 6. Give it a quick flip. And as you can see, it's almost done.
Wow, it really takes 3 minutes.
Even less than 3 minutes. So this is another quick and easy way to make breakfast. We're now joined by Balford Carr, and he'll be assisting in making the breakfast smoothie. The ingredients we'll be using for the smoothie are banana, which is a good source of potassium and vitamin C. We also have mangoes, which is also a good source of vitamin C, A and B. Pineapples, another good source of vitamins. We also have oatmeal, which is a good source of fiber. To add to that, we have milk. But if you are vegan, the substitutes for it is almond milk or coconut milk. We know kids don't like spinach, so what we're doing today is disguising the spinach in the shake. And fruits are said to disguise vegetables.
So what can you use instead of spinach?
You can substitute spinach with callaloo, kale, or string beans. Those are good sources of iron. That's a bit of syrup just to add color. Because you know, people eat with their eyes first, especially kids. So just to make the shake a bit more attractive or pleasant to the eye, appealing to the eye. If you don't have a NutriBullet, you can use a regular blender. Yeah, go ahead.
And can that be substituted for a meal?
Yes, it can. It has all the essential vitamins and nutrients.
Wow, the juice is looking lovely, Chef Plummer. So, as you said, this is a serving that you'd normally give to a child?
Yes, for ages, between ages 5 to 11, it's recommended that they get about 8 ounces of juice in the morning. So I think that's enough for them.
Okay. So how's it tasting, Sapphire?
Great.
You sure?
Yes.
Wow. Boy, I must say, at first I was a bit skeptical about these meal ideas, especially the first one. But you see, quick and easy to prepare and also nutritious. Don't they look nice?
Yes.
Boy, I can't wait to start. Come on, Sapphire, join me and have. Wow. Wow.
Wow.
It's important to store water during periods of drought. It's even more important to ensure that the water is safe. Boiling and treating your water with bleach are two of the best ways to purify water. If you choose the boiling method, allow the water to boil for 5 minutes, cover and let it cool. Store boiled water in a clean airtight container and use something with a handle to take out the water when needed. If you use bleach to make your water safe for drinking, use 2 drops of bleach to a liter of water, 8 drops for a gallon, and ½ teaspoon of bleach for 5 gallons of water. Shake well and leave for half an hour before use. Water is essential to a healthy life, so ensure yours is clean and safe for consumption.
Parents, this next feature is for just in case you're not through with your back-to-school preparation. Take a look.
Do you hear that? You hear that? Yes, the start of the new school year is upon us, and I'm sure parents and children are ready and raring to go. Today, we'll just go through some of the things you'll need to have a smooth and worry-free transition from the lazy days of summer to the industrious school days ahead.
At this time, the last minute things would be ensuring they have their birth certificate, immunization card, as well as a child's medical.
An important part of the process of returning to school is registration. This ensures that there is a record available to prove enrollment at a school. This also tells the school administrators the correct number of students to expect so they can properly prepare for the young learners in the upcoming academic year. Whether it's going to a new school or to a new grade at your old school, registration is filled with a host of benefits for teacher, parent, and student. The teacher will get an idea of the number of children in the class and prepare for them. The student will get to meet the form teacher as well as other classmates, and the parent will receive well-needed information about getting the child ready for school. These include a book list, instructions on how to construct the school uniform, and a medical form. A medical record is one sure way to safeguard a student's safety at school. That's why the Ministry of Education mandates that students entering primary and secondary schools undergo a medical examination. The medical form that's filled out by a doctor has well-needed information on ailments, allergies, or physical disabilities that would preclude a child from taking part in certain activities, such as physical education or a school trip to a farm that might put the child's life in danger. Filling out the medical form is a top priority. Even though some schools may have allowed the child to register without the form, until that's done, registration at the school is incomplete. So ensure that the medical examination form is filled out and returned to the school before the start of the academic year. Buying the approved texts is essential to following the school's syllabus to academic success. In the past, parents have complained that their children do not use all the books prescribed on the book list, or that they cannot pass on the books to their younger children. That is now history, as the Ministry of Education has moved to carry out a thorough reform of the book lists in government schools. So now there's a ministry-approved book list that parents can buy from to give their children the tools to academic success. So parents, be sure to check the papers or call the Ministry of Education for the approved book lists for your children. At registration, parents should have been given a drawing of what the uniform should look like, including specifications such as length, color, and style. This would have given parents time to have the uniform sewn or bought. The correct color socks, shoes, hair accessories, bag, and watch would have also been on the list of proper school attire, so be sure to revisit the lists to see if you have bought the right things. Last-minute stops to the local bookstore for stationery and school supplies are now in order. And whether you're using public or private transportation to get your child to and from school, it's always a good idea to do dry runs to map out the shortest routes. So now that you've covered registration, filled out the medical examination form, followed the book list and uniform requirements, you and your child are ready for the upcoming school year.
Nutritious food, succulent dishes, superior workmanship, and excellent service. Jamaica is on the go. Let's grow what we eat and eat what we grow. Let's harness the indomitable spirit of our most valued resource, our people. Let's support our local businesses. After all, buying Jamaican means building Jamaica. Original.
And that's where we end things, but only for today. We'll be back around this time tomorrow on this station. Though we're signing off on this station, we're always available in cyberspace. Visit our website, gis.gov.jm. Join us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, or download our mobile app. On behalf of the entire team here at the JIS, I'm Audrey Williams. Thank you for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.